We can go ahead and get started if y'all want. Well, it's actually, oh, yeah. All right. Can we have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? All right. There was no action in executive session. It was just for information purposes only. All right. So we are continuing on with our budget work sessions, and we had before us our honorable tax collector, Ms. Cyrus. Good morning, and thank you so much for being with us, and also thank you and your staff for the wonderful work that you all do for the citizens of Williamsburg County. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. You may begin.
Good morning
Thank
again
you.
to everyone.
Good morning.
Hope everybody's doing great.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to say before I get started that I do have something to discuss pertaining to the operational section of the budget. However, I do have some information that pertains to personal matters, so I would like to go into executive session if possible.
All right, let's talk about the operational
Okay,
part of your budget request first.
okay.
And then if time permits, we will discuss those personnel matters, because there's only two matters that we'll be able to discuss in executive session: is personnel matters and contractual matters in specific details. But we can let's talk about the operations portion of the budget first, if you would, please.
Yes,
ma'am.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay, of course, operational budget is pretty straightforward. I'd like to say that some of the costs as far as the certified postage and contractual services, tax sale abstractor and tax sale advertisements, those costs, according to the South Carolina State Code Title 12, those costs is included in the budget. However, it wasn't last year or the previous year, but I'm including it here because this is another year. But those costs and fees are added back to the tax, defaulting taxpayers and the bidders.
Okay.
But I just wanted to include it there for information. But of course, that's under Title 12. The other thing that's not included here in the budget that will be an amendment is the LexisNexis that the auditor spoke about.
Yes.
I've been doing some research also with that for the past couple of years, and as recently as last week, I was speaking with Florence County. That tool is very beneficial to my department. I do understand that if it's more than one department, I'm not sure of the cost at this time,
Right.
but that cost can be divided between those departments.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for looking into that. I will bring you an update, as well as the members of council that are here, that we have given that information to our IT department, and they are actively researching the LexisNexis, software package, and I believe it's going to be very beneficial not only to your office, the auditor, the tax assessor, in our office as well.
Okay,
and so
great.
they are actively looking into that right now. So I'm thinking that there will be something that we'll be able to get done.
It's my understanding
you
that we're scheduled for a meeting sometime, I think, next week, Tuesday, as a matter of fact.
That's possible. Yes.
Do you have any questions for me pertaining to the operational portion of it?
Madam Cyrus, are you operating your Chavis, the Chavis Center?
Not at this time. We closed that Chavis office during COVID in 2020, so it
It hasn't
have
opened
not
yet?
been
Reopen?
reopened yet.
And I have a question, because I just don't know. Okay.
I- this-
I see where you have a request for tax sale advertisement. Can you explain that a little bit to us?
Right.
What
Tax
all
sale-
goes into that?
Right. The tax sale advertisement, that's something that's required under the Title 12 of the South Carolina State Code of Law.
Right.
Before we sell any property, the law states that we are required and must advertise in our local newspaper. However, we do advertise in the King Street News and the Florence paper. And that's just a means of trying to, well, you have to legally do it before you even sell anything. But that's another means of trying to contact or reach our citizens out there about taxes.
Okay. Good.
And the law requires also that we advertise 2 weeks of real estate and 3 weeks of mobile home, so. And we have no control over the cost. But it must be done.
Right.
But of course, that fee is charged back to the
What does it
taxpayer.
What does it normally cost? Because I see on your budget request, you've got $25,000. Is that what it normally costs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Very good. Thank you. One moment. Let me look at
But
something
of course, we
else.
advertise in, like I said, the King Street paper and also the Florence News, okay? Trying to target all of our areas of Waynesburg County.
Paper now. Can't read it now, paper now.
And also, that information is on the website as well. We're using our electronic.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the all the way down to the bottom, total expenses. Previous year, I see different figures, 226, 215, 226, and then 168, 746.
That's correct.
168, 746. Explain that. How did that come out?
Okay.
Salaries.
Yes,
The
and the
salaries were not
supervisor's looking
included.
at me smiling.
Yeah.
But that's a good question and very observant, so I'm glad that you did. You're asking me that. The reason why that figure's changed is because on those other years, the salaries are included. On this year, the salary is not included. This is just a copy of the budget that was submitted
Right.
to supervisor. But
That's
the
what-
salaries are not included at all. That's why that figure decreased to 168.
Okay, if the salaries were included, would it be around about that same amount?
More.
How much more?
And it's, I'm not sure, and I should, but, and this too is because you see down there that I have the part-time Chavis clerk figure included in there, and that was pulled out of the budget. I also am showing overtime salary and tax sale advertisements, so that's why that figure is, you can see a difference in that as well.
If you all notice on your budget worksheets, there is a dark block. That dark block is where the salaries portion of the budget request normally is placed. We blocked that out this year, but we gave the department heads and the elected officials the option of whether or not they wanted to come back and get that information lifted so they could go in and do it. And that's why she does not have that on there. We blocked that part out because we were trying to get a handle on what the true amount of some of these salaries were. And so rather than, it's been our experience, even from when I was here before, the salaries are computed on the second floor with the county supervisor's office. So there's no sense in putting the department heads and the elected officials through all of the trouble of computing those numbers when the numbers are going to have to be computed again anyway.
Yeah, but certainly, Mr. Chairman, we would need to see that before we balance the
Oh,
budget.
absolutely.
Ain't no
Absolutely.
question. I mean, we
Yes,
gotta-
sir.
I
That'll
understand
be a
what-
part of all of the information that you
Right.
all get prior to getting the budget balance. Yes, sir.
Madam Tax Collector, I got one question. I see a huge number in this postage. What's obviously something happened in the past that
Right.
I don't know about.
Yeah, of course, what that is that, again, under the South Carolina Title 12, the law requires us to send out certified restricted mail during and after our tax sale.
Right.
And of course, postage is very high, and we've had usually like 2 sales during the year, at the beginning and at the end, so we send out those certifieds, but that cost, again, is charged back to the defaulting taxpayer. But I wanted to include that as well to show you that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was looking, trying to find your overtime, I mean, not your overtime, part-time salaries, because when you do the tax sales, we have been normally giving you some part-time help, haven't we?
Part-time or either overtime during that season, yes, sir.
Okay, which did you do last year, overtime or?
Overtime. Overtime,
Overtime?
yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, do any of the members of council have any additional questions for the tax collector?
I have one additional question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any
Absolutely.
plans anytime within the near future to reestablish yourself down at the Shavers Center?
That would be a question for the supervisor. Of course, when he says we're open, then we're down there
Okay.
and ready to go.
And of course, my official response would be that it'll be based on the budget. Obviously, we would love to be able to open that office and provide that service to the people of that community. But we want to make sure that we're going to be able to afford to do it.
Okay,
And
would you need
so,
additional staff to do that?
I'm not sure what they've done in the past. Did you all use additional staff, or did you use existing staff in the past?
Additional staff.
So it would be additional staff, yeah. And then whatever other, I'm not sure about the infrastructure that's there. I know that they had everything there that they needed initially, but I'm not sure if any changes have taken place since COVID, so we would need to go down and inspect that space to make sure that it is, that it doesn't require any renovations or any upgrades as it relates to technology or anything like that. And obviously, we're going to have to make sure that our employees are in a are able to work in a place that's comfortable
Right.
and also secure as well. So,
Okay.
all right. Anyone else?
Nope.
All right. So, the tax collector has requested to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter as it relates to her budget. Is there a motion by one of the finance committee members to go into executive session?
Move.
Second.
All right. There's a motion by Councilman Woods, and it's been probably seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All right. Any opposed? All right. So we will be in executive session discussing a personnel matter with the tax collector.
This is a test. This is only a test.
Yeah. We're live? All right, can we have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there was no action taken. There was just for information purposes only. At this time, we have our Economic Development Director, Mr. Gillian Friesen. Good morning, sir. Thank you for all that you do to move Williamsburg County forward, and thank you and both your staff as well. And you may begin, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Supervisor and members of council. Appreciate those of you, members of council, who were able to make it this morning to sit through these budget sessions with me and my peers as we make some requests. You should have before you the budget worksheet for economic development. I'll give you a few seconds to look over it. The far right columns, you will see the variances. I only have variances in 4 line items, and we'll discuss in detail shortly.
Okay. So basically, from what I'm gathering here, the only difference in your budget request for this year compared to last year is a 3% increase in salaries.
Yes, sir. So you'll see the in salaries, you'll see a 3% increase in the salaries where they currently are.
Okay.
Also, there is a variance in the membership and dues line item. You will see a variance in site studies where we're actually giving you some money back.
Okay.
And you will see a variance in automotive gas and fuel. I'm sorry, that's membership dues. I'm sorry.
Now, yes.
Travel and training. Yes, travel and training is also a variance.
So the budget request for automotive, gas, and fuel, who is that request for?
There wasn't one in automotive gas and fuel. There wasn't a variance.
Membership.
So I'll go through them by line. So for the full-time salaries, I am asking for an increase of 3% for all 3 positions there. With travel and training, the current budget does not reflect the $750 travel expense or stipend that is given to the executive director. It does not reflect that.
Okay. So that's why I asked the question about the fuel, because the $750 a month travel allowance includes the fuel.
No, sir. Fuel is a separate item. Fuel is 5203. Training and travel is 5193.
No, I get that. I see that they're on 2 different line items.
Yes, sir.
What I'm asking is, well, tell me something, because this is my first budget worksheet session, and maybe I need to be educated on exactly what this means. With the travel allowance,
Yes.
what does that cover?
It covers any travel that I'm doing. So the county's 937 square miles. And so with my personal vehicle, I'm traveling all over the county, working on our economic development projects, maintaining the properties that we own and have. It also covers any travel expense that I go for, seminars within the state, that is. If I'm going to Columbia or Florence to need some meetings, if I'm in Charleston or going to meet engineers or contractors, wherever they are in the state, it covers all of that. Yes, sir.
That's why I asked the question about the $680 for gas.
Yeah, so the $680 for gas is for the fleet card. So our line item for gas whenever we use county vehicles comes from that line item.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this question, since we're in the process of doing the budget. Would it be more cost effective for you if we were to get a vehicle for you?
Well, we could also look at that aspect in that that avenue too as well. I think one of the things I do need to explain is that the Economic Development Department is one of a few revenue generating departments for the county. And so our economic development projects and all of the businesses that we recruit, the revenues from the property taxes that come to the county, there is a percent of that revenue that goes into two bank accounts that are separate from the general fund for economic development. Every quarter, the finance department sends me a bill for our salaries and expenses in which we reimburse the general fund with. So therefore, the Economic Development Department has no adverse effect on the general fund. So we pay our own expenses, our own salaries, pretty much carry our own weight.
Right. Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do want to add too as well that prior to my hire date, there were 4 positions in economic development. When I was hired and selected for this role, I elected to not employ a 4th individual until I had the opportunity to observe the workload and the responsibilities of my team, and of course, learn the cash flows for the department. So after the 6-month probationary period, my 6-month probationary period, I elected to continue to run the department with only 3 employees. And so we've done so for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So we still have that vacant 4th position. I think we're almost at the point where my team's screaming, okay, you're giving me too much work. So we may need to, at some point in the near future, look at a possible hire for that 4th position.
Okay.
Mr. Freisen.
Possibly. Yes, ma'am.
What happened to the business hub?
Business Hub is still operational.
That's where that 4th person was at?
The 4th position was actually an office manager position.
Oh, okay.
So what I did with my staff that I have now, Deja Green and Bianca Wilson, they were considered administrative assistants when I got here. My title is executive director, so I felt that as an executive director, I should be directing directors. And so I gave them a raise in title only. So I changed their positions and rewrote their job descriptions. And so they became Director of Business Development and Director of Marketing without any pay initially. So eventually I was able to then increase their salaries.
Anybody else with any other questions? Any additional questions? Mr. Freisen, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I do want to reiterate that the fact that the Economic Development Department runs on the revenues that's generated from our economic development projects. We don't have any adverse effect on the general fund. And I am mindful of the spending that we're doing in the department, so I'm not asking for anything lavishly above the budget that we requested last year. But I think with the increase in the activity that we've seen, we are now recruiting companies and industries that are they are offering pay that's higher than my staff. So I want to remain competitive so I don't lose them to the people that I'm recruiting.
We understand. Very good. Duly noted. Duly noted. Is there anyone else? Any other questions
Nope.
for Mr. Freisen? Mr. Freisen, again, thank you so much for all that you and your staff do to bring jobs here to Williamsburg County. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council, for your time.
Thank you. Hey, Supervisor.
Hold 1 second. They haven't gone live yet. I'm waiting. Hey, good morning, Ms. Redden. We now have the budget presentation from voter registration and elections. We have Ms. Edith Redden. Ms. Redden, thank you so much for all that you do for Williamsburg County, and thank your staff as well. You guys do an amazing job with our voter registration and our elections here in Williamsburg County. At this time, we will go ahead and get you to go ahead and make your presentation for us. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
As you can see, on the budget, I'd like to just let you know that has changed in the last 4 to 6 years. And starting with the temporary salary, this is for my poll workers. And as you know, poll workers are hard to come by. And with the state only paying them $75 a day, that's hard to get effective and efficient poll workers. So what we have done, in order to get poll workers, we've added just $25, which would be $100 coming from the county, $75, all of the poll workers' salary are reimbursable. So the only thing that supplement is an extra $25. Now, with the poll workers, you have the clerks, and of course, with the new laws that came in, we have early voting, and that starts 2 weeks prior to, and that means that we have to man that for 2 weeks instead of just having 1 day of voting. So that is also reimbursable, but it also comes into having to pay them a little more in order to get people to work. So that is one of the issues that we have come across in the state of South Carolina, trying to get people to work for a measly $75 a day. So we're trying to increase that. We've gone before the General Assembly and have asked them to put more money in the budget to increase that also. But we have not had any good response yet. Overtime, as I said before, because of the state mandate that the voter registration office remain open, even during the time when we had COVID, all the other office shut down, but the governor said we cannot shut down. So we had to work Monday through Sunday. And of course, if you all were filing, we had to stay open on Good Friday. Anytime things happen like that, there was no law in place for us to change it and open back up on Monday. We had to carry through and open. So we have to open on Saturday because with any early voting sites in the general election, they open from Monday through Saturday. So we have to complete our work every day, because once these early polling places open, they stay open to 5, but they have to bring all of their material back to us at 6, 7, or 8 o'clock, and we have to post it. And if it's not posted correctly, we have to stay until the state gives us the okay to go home that everything has been posted. So that's why we have to do the overtime, because it's not only the county, it's the state. And I'm sure you all are watching for these totals as they come up every night for the early voting site. Early voting brings in extra supplies, extra people. It also brings in a lot of overtime that we have to do. The other issue is with the overtime, the temporary part-time, we have the postage, which has increased. As you know, postage increases, so that's just something we put in our budget because most of the postage that we send out, it is reimbursable. So we're just asking that you put that there, because with the state and their reimbursables, we have to send all of our receipts and everything to them, and then they send us back a check. Office supplies has increased along with that. Of course, printing your ballots, advertising. I just received a letter from the newspaper. They have gone up on our advertising, so that's also
Nutrition.
a problem.
Together, we provide nutrients to support immune.
Our hardware maintenance, I just received the new hardware maintenance. In 2018, they sent us more voting equipment because of COVID. This year, they sent us more equipment because of early voting. So instead of paying $31,235, which when you add the hardware maintenance, software maintenance, and e-poll books, that is what it was last year. It was $39,301.22. I just received the updates from having 39 DS200s, 111 ballot marketing device, and 64 e-poll book. That gives me a total of $41,743.41 for the maintenance of these equipment. Travel and training. The reason I put that, because we have to visit all of our polling locations and we have to make sure that everything is up. The director goes out, myself goes out, and we have to check all of these early voting. We usually have 2, which is great. One is here in Alex Chapman building, and the other is at J.J. Mitchum. By law, they have requested that if there is a need to increase that, we can, but we only have 20,000 registered voters. So it would not be a good thing to increase early voting precincts because we do have two. If we had, I think it's 20,217 registered voters as of today. So the two early voting precincts work well. Contractual services is also increased because we do have an alarm system. Last week, we had the Homeland Security to come by, and they have looked at our building, which is something that they do every 2 years, and they would like us to increase our alarm system so that it will include one more camera. So that's what we're looking at right now. I would like to talk to you all or speak to you all on the salaries if we can. Do you all have any questions?
Ms. Ray, you said it was recommended by whom that we should have another camera?
By the Homeland Security.
Homeland Security?
We have Homeland Security. We're responsible with them that they come and check the building, SLED, also the FBI, and the Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
So they intertwine on Election Day, and they make sure that we are safe.
Okay, and they want that to be in place by the next election? Or
No,
did it
sir,
say?
ASAP. Because of the equipment, they would like to place a camera in the equipment room because the camera that we have is outside the doors of the building, but they feel that it would be better to overlook the equipment itself.
Okay.
And the other is the generator. That was one that was 6 years ago when we first moved in the building. Homeland Security came and said that we must have a generator because if anything happens on Election Day, we cannot perform our duties. So that was one of the letters that we've gotten for the last 6 years, that we need to have some type of backup generator to continue with the service for Election Day.
Okay, thank you.
And you and I have discussed this before, but just as a matter of information for the other members of council and, of course, the public, the recommendation that was made by the Department of Homeland Security is that's been an ongoing recommendation, correct?
Yes, sir, it has.
Was that Keith? Keith that came by?
Yes, he came by.
Yeah. Now, your budget, and I'm just asking Ms. Redden because I don't know. As I said earlier, this is my first year. Your budget would fluctuate, correct? Because there's an election every other year. Is that correct?
It's an election, you can say that in a sense, but this budget will continue to July 1st. So it will incorporate the primary in 2024.
Right.
You see, so everyone says we don't work, 1 year, but when you look at it that way, each time there is an election, you have a budget that goes to the next election.
That's correct. But my question is, all right, 2024 is an election year, and we'll have the primary in all of the other procedural matters that we have to go through. That is in this particular budget request, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so the general election for 2024 will be in the next year's budget, correct?
Budget. Yes, sir.
Budget
For the
request,
general.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's right, all right.
Now, please be reminded that our election will start in January.
That's correct. That will be in the current budget that you're requesting now.
Yes, sir, because
right.
that will continue on with presidential preference.
That's correct.
And really, it starts, we've already started
That's right.
practically getting ready. So it starts in November and December for Uwcaba voters
Right,
that we have to get ready for. And then the opening of the early voting precinct will begin the last of January.
very good.
So all of this is a continuation, as I said, with this budget.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Are there any other questions as it relates to the operations portion of her budget? All right, I think you had some additional concerns or different, some other additional information that you'd like to present?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we go into executive session?
You'd have to
Sound?
make that request. Are you requesting?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is it to discuss a personnel or contractual matter?
Salaries.
Salaries would be personnel matter. Okay. How are we on time? Okay, all right, very good. All right, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So, Ms. Redden,
Yes, sir.
what we're going to do, I want to make sure they've already cut the camera off. We're up. All right, can I have a motion to come out of executive session? All right, so we have a motion to come out of executive session. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Anyone to oppose? All right. There was no action taken. It was just for information purposes only. Ms. Redden, thank you so much. Is there anything else, Ms. Redden, that you would like to give, present to the budget, the Finance Committee and members of council before you depart?
No, sir.
Very good. Listen, thank you so much. Thank you and your staff for the great jobs that you all do. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.